But when it comes to thinking about how you engage audiences, how you create public programs that truly get people's minds racing, I think one of the most important things that a museum can do is to truly be relevant. And in our case, as a museum, with the mandate that we have, I do feel that relevance is very much on our side. You look at the misunderstanding that's happening in the world today, the stereotypes, the misconceptions about the Muslim world. This is the toughest period, I think, in our lifetimes. And yet, there's just a little bit of knowledge that could actually change the way people actually act and interact with one another. To actually understand who Muslims are, to understand even where they live, what languages they speak, what cultures they're part of, suddenly opens you up to the fact that the Muslim world is actually one of the most diverse worlds anywhere. And in fact, when you look at the connections that you may potentially have with the Muslim world, it's actually far more than you'd ever imagine. And that's something which I think is of great relevance today. Now, in terms of the programs that we create at the museum, relevance is something that has become more and more important to us, even in that short 2.5-year period that we've been open. So think about this. We've been open only since September 2014. We've already gone through at least 2 different sort of inflection points in the way that we program, simply because we started to realize the importance of being more and more relevant. And one of those exhibitions, one of those programs that we created, actually happened last October and closed in March of this year. But it was an exhibition called Syria, A Living History. And this is a very interesting case study in being creative, in responding to times and being relevant. Because, believe it or not, we actually created this exhibition in only 9 months. Most museums take 3 years to research, to develop, to design, and create an exhibition. But in the case of Syria, Living History, we shortened that time scale down to 9 months. Now, I did promise my curators we'd never do that again. I lied. We did even worse. But the reason why we took this approach was very simple. In the summer of 2016, August and September, I think all of you will remember the time when ISIS took over the historic site of Palmyra. They overran the site, they captured the archaeologist on the site, and they killed the archaeologist Asad al-Khalid, one of the great archaeologists of Syria. They beheaded him on the site. They blew up temples, and they basically caused havoc. At around the same time, we also saw those photographs of the child washed up off the shores of Bodrum. And it's at this moment that I think the world's attention truly shifted towards Syria. I think that even though the Syrian crisis had been ongoing since 2011, 2012, it took events like this to suddenly shift focus and make people realize something brutal and horrible was happening within this country. And it's at this moment, as we were reflecting in September 2015 upon the world events, we decided we have to do an exhibition on Syria because no one else is actually showcasing the cultures, the heritage, and the people who make up the country of Syria. What's amazing is that as we did a quick Google search, we realized that not a single museum in the world had actually done an exhibition on Syria since the conflict began. And that's truly amazing, because here's a conflict that was already ongoing for 5 years. Why don't museums respond to things like this? Because I think that, if anything, museums are educational institutions. They're actually one of the true educational institutions where all you have to do is pay admission, in many cases get there for free, and suddenly you're exposed to ideas, to facts, to objects and beauty that you may never have seen before and never have associated with a country, a people, or even a region. In the case of Syria, what we felt was important was that you needed to actually showcase the fact that Syrians are not just Syrians. Syrians are actually built up as composites of their entire history. They're Mesopotamians, they're Syrians, they're Babylonians, they're Greeks, Persians, they're Ottomans, they're Syrians of today, they're Jews, they're Christians, they're Muslims, they're Arabs. All of these things make up Syria. And so, in creating this exhibition, we basically broke the rules. I went to my museum colleagues at the British Museum, the Louvre, Berlin, the Met, and I told them, we have a great idea, but don't laugh at me. So I told them the idea, they loved it, and I said, we're putting this on in 9 months, and they all laughed at me. But they all agreed, because they all saw the importance of this type of exhibition. And that's where relevance has a real point. And just to drive that home, I'd like to show you just a short 5-minute video that'll show you a bit of this exhibition, but also the reactions that Syrians had to this particular show.